Martin Brundle has once again caused a stir in the Formula One world after his harsh criticism of Lewis Hamilton following the Australian Grand Prix was finally revealed. The former F1 driver and pundit's sharp comments have sparked debate among fans and analysts. What exactly did Brundle say, and how did Hamilton respond to the criticism? Let's discuss. Ferrari's quest for victory at the Australian Grand Prix has been in tatters since the third free practice, FP3. Both drivers, Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, were unable to match the speed of McLaren, which ultimately led to Lando Norris' victory. Leclerc and Hamilton finished 20 and 22 seconds behind Norris respectively. Nevertheless, seven-time world champion Lewis Hamilton hinted that Ferrari still has great potential that has yet to be fully realized. Looking ahead to the next round in China, he warned his rivals that the SF25 could still improve. Speaking to Jeep Blog and other media at Albert Park, Hamilton revealed that Ferrari should have performed better in Australia. "I don't know if we could have matched McLaren's pace today, but I felt the car was a lot better than it looked. I just felt we didn't get the most out of it this weekend," said the Briton. Hamilton also highlighted the progress he made throughout the weekend. In terms of confidence, he experienced a significant increase in performance compared to the start of the race. "When I got in the car on Friday, I had no confidence, especially at high speed. I was struggling a lot. But on Saturday, the confidence came back. I kept improving, he added. Unfortunately, the development did not continue until race day. Then we got to the race, and it was like going back to square one. I lost confidence for most of the race. The car felt very difficult to control, especially in terms of the setup," he explained. Indeed, Lewis Hamilton's performance left a disappointing impression on Martin Brundle, a former F1 driver who is now a Sky Sports pundit and commentator. Brundle was not impressed with Hamilton's performance and thought it was a poor start. In his Sky Sports column, he stated, "Despite Lewis' positive words and his reasons for having to learn the steering wheel and other new aspects, his Ferrari debut was a disappointment by any measure. Hamilton struggled throughout the race. He lost momentum in the first corner, spent a long time behind Alex Albon's Williams, and was overtaken by Oscar Piastri on the outside of Turn 9 on the final lap. As a result, Hamilton had to settle for 10th place, a point that did not live up to the high expectations placed on him. 8th on the grid behind Leclerc, a suboptimal start, stuck behind Albon for longer than he should have been and then passed by Piastri in a tricky corner. This was not the performance you expect from a world champion," added Brundle. One of the main factors that worsened Ferrari's result at the Australian GP was a poor strategic decision. When the rain started to fall, Ferrari decided to stick with slick tires. The decision did not pay off, and both Hamilton and Leclerc were forced to pit behind the safety car, which was brought out after a crash involving Liam Lawson and Gabriel Bortolito. The poor strategy saw Hamilton and Leclerc drop from P2 and P3 to P9 and P10 after the pit stops. Leclerc quickly passed Hamilton after the restart, adding to the list of problems for the seven-time world champion. Brundle was particularly critical of Ferrari's strategic decision. Things really went wrong for Ferrari when they took the risk of running on slicks in the wet. They lost track position that was vital for both drivers, and the results speak for themselves, he explained. Lewis Hamilton may still be adjusting to Ferrari, but one aspect he is already familiar with is the K1 setting, a term his race engineer Riccardo Adami repeatedly mentioned over the team radio during the Australian Grand Prix. However, the incident highlights a communication gap that needs to be addressed between Hamilton and Adami. Hamilton appeared frustrated when Adami kept reminding him of the K1 setting, which can act as an overtaking button. The Briton failed to press the button at the right time on the main straight at Albert Park and was unable to maximize his speed. As Adami repeated the instructions, Hamilton reacted with irritation, telling his engineer to stop repeating the same commands. The changeable weather conditions in Melbourne made matters worse. The rain made race strategy difficult, and Adami seemed to struggle to provide accurate updates. This affected Hamilton's decision-making, especially in the closing stages of the race. However, despite the tension that erupted over the team radio, Hamilton did not hold a grudge against Adami. In an interview with the race, the seven-time world champion expressed his appreciation for his race engineer. "I think Riccardo has done a really good job. We're still getting to know each other. Then we'll download the data, read all the comments, including things I've said and vice versa," said Hamilton. Hamilton and Adami are working together for the first time in a competitive race, so it is understandable that there will be differences of opinion. Experts such as Karun Chandak have suggested that they need to be more open in their conversations, and Hamilton has acknowledged the need for better communication in the future. I am not usually the type of person who likes to have too much information in a race unless I really need it. Ricciardo did a great job today and we will continue to move forward, added Hamilton. As part of Ferrari, Hamilton still needs time to fully adapt to the SF25 and the engineering team in Maranello. His relationship with Adami is expected to improve over time. However, there are bigger concerns surrounding Ferrari's habit of being less decisive in its decision-making, a weakness that has long been highlighted. Before Frédéric Vasseur took over as Ferrari team principal, the Maranello team's strategy was often the butt of jokes in the racing world. Strategy mistakes, inaccurate information, and poor communication often cost the team golden opportunities in races. However, since Vasseur took over, Ferrari has shown significant improvement. The on-track engineering team works more closely with the factory to improve communication and develop more effective strategies. Ferrari is now one of the fastest and most coordinated teams in F1. The strategy team is also trying to overcome its habit of making slow decisions, which previously cost its drivers important positions on the track. Thanks to these changes, Ferrari is now only 14 points behind in the Constructors' Championship. At yesterday's Australian GP, however, it seemed that some of Ferrari's old problems had resurfaced. Vasseur himself admitted that his team had not performed at its best in the season opener. He highlighted strategic decisions that need to be improved, including Hamilton's communication with Adami. In general, I think we need another week or two to improve communication, but it's not something that worries me, Vasseur told Autoracer IT. Although Ferrari has made great strides in the last year and a half, the communication incident between Hamilton and Adami shows that there are still some fundamental things that need to be fixed. If Ferrari is to be a real contender this season, Vasseur must ensure that his team works as a well-coordinated machine. After a disappointing result in Australia, the F1 circus now heads to China for the second round of the championship. Hamilton believes there are several areas where Ferrari can improve to be more competitive. There are a lot of things we need to improve. In terms of setup, I will set up the car differently and position the car more optimally at different times of the race. I will also have a better approach to strategy, he concluded. With big ambitions and potential still to be developed, Ferrari will be hoping for a better performance at the Chinese Grand Prix. All eyes will now be on how the Scuderia rises to the next challenge and whether they can be a major contender for victory. As one of the biggest teams in Formula One, Ferrari and Lewis Hamilton now face the challenge of improving their performance and strategy for the next race. With the competition getting tighter, every decision the team makes and how Hamilton adapts to his new car will be a key factor in determining their chances of competing for victory. The strategic mistake in Australia was a valuable lesson that must be corrected immediately if Ferrari is to remain a serious threat in the championship. With the great potential of the SF25 and Hamilton's experience as a 7-time world champion, Ferrari still has a chance to bounce back and be more competitive in the Chinese Grand Prix. However, the question remains, will Ferrari be able to overcome their weaknesses and bring Hamilton back to winning ways in the next race? Write your opinion.